Lord of Mysteries, episode 4. So, episode starts off kind of like with this secret society, kind of holding like a sort of like a meeting or like a punishment or made example out of whether this guy has had failed at collecting the notebook that we know is this secret society has been after all along. This secret order known as the Aurora Order. They're the secret entity that have been after this notebook along with the the Nighthawks. And now that the Nighthawks have their hands on it, the person responsible for retrieving it is getting punished for it, and this entity or this oracle person decides to give them one last chance to prove themselves, and that's when they decide to target Klein next. And I love that we get a bit more explanation on how this world works and how now we got even more information about this world and that it also possesses magic and certain things like rituals can enhance beyond their ability. So now it's really interesting to see that uh, Klein Klein has always had some sort of like magic to him, but now in this world there's like even higher there's even more power, right? So like the beyond ability is not the end meets all. There's magic now also applied to the beyond abilities to enhance them. So really interesting that we're getting more power structure and more abilities, because in this one we also see the person that Klein drank the potion from. He used this ritual and explained to him how it works, and that it should not be used to communicate with the unknown. So like he can't use this to go into like the dark abyss or something and communicate with a, an entity that he has no idea or no clue how to control. So the way they used it was to locate this wallet that was gonna earn him 30 pounds, which end up did happening. But Klein was skeptical at first, and and now he realized, okay, well, if this can help me achieve what I want, it can probably help boost my ability to go in the divine realm or my overall seer abilities as well. So really interesting stuff. He then goes on to this revelation place where he gets his future told to him, and essentially he wanted to find out if he was ever going to be able to head back home. And they told him, it's a rough patch, you're not getting there anytime soon, but if you keep continuing on doing what you're doing, you'll eventually get there. And to help them, he used the seer ability to notice that the guy needed some medical attention, told him to go get it done real quick. And one of the other things that was really interesting is that he wanted to join this club to further enhance his seer ability as well, because one of the guys in there was also like a seer. So this person used this trick called the magic mirror divination, which seems really sketchy at first, especially because it's given the title of the episode as well. And this guy kind of already was the guy we saw in the beginning of the episode where he was targeting Klein, and now that Klein was there, he kind of gave him some interesting tidbits like, listen, the way to your future is to focus on family gatherings. That's what I see in your future soon. So two things ended up going through my head, and that was like the divine realm was like the actual place of gathering, and I guess you could say the people that he brings there could be like his own family of sorts. So my first thought was like, okay, so this is obviously kind of referencing the divine realm that Klein inhabits and controls, and that it could be like the key to anything. So so, so then later on, Klein does himself start jotting down notes of like, okay, what would happen if like there's a ritual that was directed towards me? Would that make it so that my beyonder abilities can enhance faster, or possibly just because I'm using the power of the divine realm on me, I can then go home essentially if I'm lucky. So it devises a plan to cast this ritual that would give him the power of the divine realm, and then he summons them, the his other followers or his other co-conspirators of Justice and the Hanged Man, which while they're there, they're kind of like, okay, he talks and he lets them know like, yeah, so don't worry about anything today. You can ask me whatever, and I'll answer promptly with no necessary pay needed, or no heavy pay needed to pay. So Justice kind of asks them like, okay, so there's that's some three things, right? But one of them was what happens when what happens when a creature like a pet drinks a potion, and which is quickly answered because it's like it's either dead or it gains an ability. Simple enough answer. All right, cool. Then the next one was a bit more uh, difficult, where she gives like her own background, where like probably the kingdom's going to on a decline because of her family, and what could they do to like fix it and kind of establish the family to be of quality once again. And he kind of like just tells them, okay, well, you can just make this a thing like an exam where you have competent people show up at, and attempt it, and only those that are of high quality get to pass. But you don't just leave it up to the nobles, you also gather up the commoners and they give them a fair shot, and you'll start to see that with that, prosperity will once again return to it. And he's like, well, we can kind of like establish this as a something known as a higher exam, which is like, okay, cool. He's really interesting. And then and also she asks her about like her abilities, how like to best use them, and the hangman kind of tries to tell her like she just needs to be like something there that's spectating, not necessarily moving the needle or anything, kind of be there without actually making herself known. And the fool, or Klein, and tells them like, yeah, you can do that, but you should actually digest and act upon things. So kind of gives her like this this great answer that she really needs to see, because one thing is to be able to just be a spectator, and the other thing is to actually be able to digest and act upon information that you gather as a spectator. So, and also something interesting happened this time in the divine realm, where I guess it's because of the ritual he put before, but now he's, or not because of the ritual, because he used his seer abilities in the divine realm. He noticed that they're stronger there than they are in the actual like world that he's in, and he's able to notice like certain signs behind the the hanged man and justice. So I think that's really interesting. It's gonna play dividends later on, and the only thing he really asks of them before sending them away is that they help him find this diary from Gustav, the guy, or like his predecessor that we've been hearing all about, how he has established a lot of the things that are well known here, like the tarot cards and stuff. And Hangman, just because he asked for the diary, you could already see things are turning. Like, it's not just anybody. He actually knows and thinks about everything that's happening. Like, he thought, oh, he must, because he wants this thing, he must find it to have some sort of value. Maybe he knows how to decipher it. And he's like, okay, well, clearly this guy's not just your average Joe. He sees him as this kind of like god, or like this entity that he needs to appease, or that he needs to keep around and worship. So they both agree uh, that they will help him with that, and he also wanted them to help him perform this ritual on Sunday, which he agreed to go with his sister to this family gathering from one of her friends. And they're like, yes, we agree to that. So when they when Klein goes back, and then it's Sunday, they're about to go into this house. You could it's he this is one of the people that we meet earlier in the episode that was in the same like revelation place where he was at, and they kind of noticed him, and they realized that he was a seer. Like the sister of the birthday girl realized he was a seer, and promised not to really tell anybody, because it seemed like he was trying to keep his sister away from all this beyond their stuff. So she she agreed to not say anything until he was ready to tell her. But unlucky for her, things kind of like took a wrong turn when all the girls gathered and they started speaking to this divine mirror that was given to them by Vincent, the divine revelation person that Klein went to see earlier. And this mirror pretty much already oozed like bloodlust, or like a certain type of feeling that Klein immediately was attracted to. Like, oh yeah, I need to get rid of this. This is not looking good. And it turned Melissa, or Selena, one of them, into this monster creature. And as Klein did find a good way to use the ritual, where he was like, okay, well, I can probably use the ritual to save her. But even though he used it, it didn't work. Like the guy that was manipulating through the other side of the mirror kind of kept feeding into this divine mirror and making it more powerful, so that Selena was made even more vicious and more monstrous. And as soon as Klein kind of was about to like give up on life, the Justice started her own ritual that he wanted them to do. And earlier in the episode, and earlier before the party, the Hangman also was doing it. So Klein got right before he was about to lose consciousness, he regained it because he got a sudden boost of power thanks to Justice doing the ritual, and then he performed a ritual himself to help save Selena from this creature. Which super interesting that the rituals was strong, just not strong enough at the moment when Klein first used it. He just needed a bit more. Uh, and also the timing couldn't have been perfect. I think Klein is one of the is becoming like a really interesting strategist, or a lot of his gambles are paying off. Which one of the one of the ways that the divine realm this ritual was supposed to work is that he was supposed to have extreme luck. So I guess it makes sense that at the last possible second, Justice performed the second ritual, which helped them escape. Really cool stuff. Uh, but because of everything that happened, Klein decided, okay, well, I kind of didn't want to tell her, but maybe I'll have to tell my sister this. But at the same time, he's having second thoughts, because he's like, well, I kind of want to keep her away from all this. It's like, but me being here will always keep endangering her like this. So I can only kind of guess that he's gonna get away from his sister and start uh, being on his own more, and just completely keeping her at a safe distance from himself. And obviously, because the ritual doesn't work, the Vincent, the guy that performed the divine mirror stuff, gets his just dues as somebody comes to visit him and ends up ending him. So Klein and Dunn decide to pay him a visit where they feel the energy was coming from. And as soon as they get there, Dunn tries to use his seer ability in Vincent, and he instantly realizes that they may have been way over his head, as he's seeing through the memories. of this person, he notices that one of them has like this monster or like this godlike entity just coming down from the skies, which could be the true creator that they worship and stuff. And it'll be really interesting to find out like what this entails and what other members the Aurora Order has. Really, really great stuff. I'm really enjoying it. And episode ends off with Justice having to get ready for this ball or this party, whatever, and you could already see she has some stuff from her life that feel very restrictive, like not being able to wear what she wants to this ball or party. They instantly tell her like, no, you can't wear the same things twice. People will think we're broke or will think we're on a decline. So we humbly need you to accept that you need to wear a new dress to this party. And she pretty much says, all right, I'll wear it, and starts dancing with a dog. And then the dog talks in the end. So we know the potion worked. The dog is now a Beyonder, and really great stuff. I think Lord of Mysteries has just kept building and building the lore, and more stuff just keeps piling on top of one another that's making it kind of hard to keep up. But if need be, maybe there'll be like a list of things that I'll keep intact for like next episode, and just jot down what plot points have been established and what things we need to keep looking out for. But other than that, man, this episode was great. Animation was superb. 9 out of 10 episode. And I think that's gonna be it for this episode. And if you like what I discussed, the animes that I talked about, you want to keep discussing or seeing more of the stuff, please subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye.